And then you start understanding that they do know how to love correctly. They just chose not to love you correctly. Some black parents only.
All right, so I don't know if I necessarily can relate to that, but I definitely see I've seen this happen in other people's like relationships and interactions with their own parents. Like I do often hear people just talk about comparing like how their parents parented them versus how they are as grandparents. And I just hear the comments about, yeah, like, oh man, you spoiled this kid, but you ain't spoiled me when I was young, or you get they give maybe their kids a little bit more permissions as a grandparent than they did as a parent. But I don't know if that's necessarily a black thing though. I think that's a parenting thing and grandparenting thing in general. That's just by nature. That's what grandparents do. Grandparents, like, they look the other way when it comes to their grandkids, that they did not look like, they don't have the eagle eye focus as a grandparent that they did when they were a parent, partially because they know, so they're not solely responsible for you, or they're not solely responsible for your kids at this point. So I think grandparents always kind of do that. Like, and I don't think it's necessarily a black trauma thing. I think all grandparents of all walks of life have done that in different various forms. I would say though, in my experience, like the things that might have been detrimental in, like, I think about my dad's parenting or whatever, it's certain things that like my son just wouldn't be exposed to with my dad. So it's like it doesn't really manifest itself into anything. But my son, is funny because like my son has a relationship with his grandfather. Like he sees him, whatever. Partially that relationship has to do with like my little brother. So I have a little brother that's the same age as my son, right? Like he's just 6 months older than my son. So like that's how he's been able to interact with my dad for the last 11 years, and just kind of spending time with him through my brother. And like I ain't gonna lie, like I think my son does get a little bit spoiled, or kind of maybe treated even better. Like I think what's gonna happen is my little brother's gonna be able to speak to this when he's older, and he's gonna be like, yeah, man, you always let Jackson do this, but you ain't let me do this. I can't. I'm so far removed from my brother, so like, in age, and like I said, like I'm not necessarily like my son's not necessarily like my dad is still a active dad. Like he still has to be like, a primary parent. Like he don't get that like full grandparent like luxury, you know what I mean, where he gets to just be relaxing and stuff like that. um I think if anything, I think what I'll see is probably my dad might like do different things. Is probably like he might start teaching my son how to like fix things that he didn't like teach me how to do, and like that's when I'll feel it, whatever. But for the most part, like my dad don't necessarily like, um he don't necessarily do things that are like quite different. And then like in terms of like my grandma, like my mom and my son, they have a tight relationship, but also has always been a part, like she's just been always a part of our village in terms of helping to like raise my son in different ways, like especially like when it comes to like me needing or wanting like social time to myself, or to give, me and my son's mom, like, over the years, giving us breaks so we can like, be together and things like that. But like the only thing I would say, like, I would think like there's like just different experiences because he's the grandparent, because like, because he's the grandchild. Like, so my mom, if she does something for him, it might seem extravagant, but it's like something that she only has to do once every now and then. Like, she doesn't have to foot the bill. So like, I think that happens a lot. Like, I think the grandparents like give your kids resources that like you didn't necessarily have, but it was because they were actively raising you, and like maybe they didn't have the same economics, you know what I mean, situation that they have like currently. Like they probably have more money in their later age than they did when they was younger. So that's the only thing. But like in terms of trauma, I don't see nothing like where like there's not a situation because my son he is really a good kid. Like there's not a situation where like my mom has ever had to yell at Jackson or my dad has ever had to yell at my son. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but I think it's an interesting point. But I think that's just the nature of grandparents. I think they get to kind of take a back seat. They don't have to be the primary parent. So like yes, they're able to show up a little bit. Now, if you do experience what he's talking about and then you do feel some resentment or feel some type of way about it, I think it's something that you probably need to talk to your actual therapist about. And maybe figure out a way to invite your parent so you can kind of face those issues with them. But just some overarching thing. Nah, I don't buy it. I don't see it. What do you think though? What do you think? Leave a comment below. All right. All right. This is gonna be our probably our biggest segment here. So we're gonna talk about Wayward, the new show on Netflix. It came out like September 25th, so it's been out for a couple weeks now, and it's something that I kind of tune into, and it's wild as hell. It's wild as hell. So I'm gonna give you kind of an overview of the show, and then there's two different things I'm gonna give commentary on. So there's something that happens in the show, like an activity that happens in the show. We're gonna give some commentary to that. And then I'm gonna give some commentary to like that, like one of the actors in particular and how their role plays in this show. Like we're gonna give some commentary to that. So let's first off, let's say this. All right, so let me tell you this. This show is wild as fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's about a school. This show is about a school called the Tall Pines Academy. That's some type of like reform school. So like think of when I say reform school, reform behavior, like it's a behavioral school that kids get sent to when they ain't doing too well, right? So it's a reform school, and that's what this story is mostly about. But we quickly learn that their methods in this school are both unethical, right? Like it's not right. Like they do a lot of lying and a lot of deception, but then it's outright illegal. It's outright illegal some of the things that they're doing. Just some of the therapy methods. Now they kind of treat this almost like a psych ward. Even the way that they obtain their patients, it's really wild, man. Like they kind of capture you, bro. Like they capture you, they put you, they blindfold you, it look like you getting kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? Like it really looks like something crazy like that. That's how they get you. But then also like it's unethical. Like they're even how they prey on people that maybe don't have money, and like they try to figure out any way that these people can pay for this type of for their kids to go to this type of place. So like a lot of weird unethical practices that go on here. I don't want to give too much away, but I am going to be giving you kind of overview of what's happening in this show. um, it's about the story itself, though, is about two girls that get sent there for various reasons, and they are friends, right? Once they're there, they're trying different ways to break out, but also they're trying to expose the dark secrets about this school. Meanwhile, as this is happening, as that's the backdrop of what's going on, but meanwhile, uh, not to mention, the characters. This is a Canadian show, I believe, in origin. So the characters start in Canada, and then this school is in like Vermont, right, which is typically a very liberal place, right? Um, Meanwhile, as that's the backdrop, we got these girls going to the school. They're trying to break out. They're trying to expose the secrets, and that this school is like really messed up, whatever, right? Meanwhile, there's a couple that moves into town. One member of the couple, one person is the new cop in town, and the spouse of this cop is actually a former student, and they're moving back to their, like, we're gonna call it their hometown, so to speak. Weird things start to happen though in this town, like just this weird, peculiar things. It seems to be this town seems to be too nice. It seems to be too quiet. It seems to be, like there's nothing much happening. And so like as this character is named Alex Dempsey, as this character is being acclimated as a cop, the character is like, yo, like this is not there's something about this place that just this don't seem right. Like why it's too perfect, it's too good to be true, right? So as things are going on in this show, the cop starts to believe is under the suspicion that something is off about the place, but then they also get this inclination that something is weird about this particular school based off of a run-in that this cop has on the first day because they actually witness another student trying to escape. Like, and he's frantic and he's wilding out, right? He's wilding out. So we later come to find out, right? So one of the biggest things, right? And spoiler alert, right? One of the biggest things about this school in this town, one of the biggest things about the town specifically is we learn that there's no actual kids in this town. Now all the people that go to the school they're like teenagers, older teenagers typically, but like of high school age. That's it seems like that's where they start getting you there. They don't let like little kids go there. I think the youngest you can be is 12. I think there is a character that said they were there since they were 12 years old. But either way, we learn that there's no kids there. So now this couple, the wife is pregnant. The wife is pregnant, and like the people make like such a big deal about her being pregnant. One, she's from this place, so everybody seems to know her. It's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody. But it's kind of weird because it's like, well, where are the kids? Like, why are there no kids here? Why is everybody making a big deal? Well, it's because, right? The school is how the town is populated, right? So that's part of the deep weird stuff, right? The school is how the town is populated. The town is filled with nothing but former graduates of this particular school. Now, why these people haven't procreated, I don't know. I've not gotten there yet, and I'm still wondering myself. But yeah, like everybody that lives there is like pretty much a former student, you know? And that's kind of weird. It's kind of sinister, but it's because the methods and the way that they are trying to like psychologically mess with these students, they're trying to create this like almost like a utopia town. But with anything that's a utopia, there has to be something like weird or bad that happens to get it to this like perfect state, right? Nothing is perfect, right? Nothing is naturally perfect. So there has to be something a foul, you know what I mean? If everything is like going great, you know what I mean? There has to be something up with that. Um so yeah, so that's what's going on. That's the overview of the show. Now, when it comes to the school itself, there's a couple of things I gotta definitely talk about. And well, one thing in particular, there's an activity that they make these kids do called the hot seat, right?